In order to prepare a new Step 7 project, you must open Somatic Manager, select File, select New, type in a unique project name, and press OK. At this point in time, we can insert a station. We'll click on Insert, Station, and our choices of all the Somatic stations that are compatible with Somatic Manager are displayed. We will select Somatic 300. We will now expand the tree under the project name by clicking on Somatic 300 and then right-clicking. We can insert a more meaningful name. By double-clicking on the hardware icon, we can bring up a configuration to define the hardware of our station. We may find this hardware in a catalog on the right portion of the Hardware Configuration Manager. If this data is not displayed, you can click on View and check Catalog. The first element of any 300 or 400 station will be the rack. On Step 7 300 systems, the rack is a passive rack or rail, and there is only one option. On Step 7 Somatic 400 systems, there are many racks to choose from, and they are active racks. We may now select a CPU for our project. The CPU we will select will be found beside of CPU 315-2DP. And we will select the 6ES7-315-2AG10 0AV0 version 2.0. Note that as you select and try to drag the CPU into your rack, it will only go into slot 2. Since the CPU we selected was a Profibus CPU, we may now select the Profibus network and define the master address. Click New. We will leave the default name, and we will change the network settings from the default value of 1.5 megabaud to 12 megabaud. And select OK. all Siemens 300 and 400 series PLCs have a default interface which is called MPI, multi-port interface. That is a proprietary Siemens network that is found on all Step 7 300 and 400 series controllers. By clicking Properties, we can select our MPI network and enable that network and press OK. Now we can close the CPU tab and open the SM300 tab. SM300 stands for Signal Module 300. Inputs, outputs, and analog modules are found under the SM300 tab. In our project, we will select one input module by clicking on DI300. By clicking once on each module, you will see information which includes a Siemens part number in the lower right-hand corner of the Hardware Configuration Manager. The input module we want to select is part number 6ES73211BL000 alpha alpha 0. So once selected, we may drag this into our rack. Please note that rack 3 is not allowed because rack 3 is reserved as an expansion slot. So the first slot that we can place our input module in will be slot 4. Also, the input byte area for our input module is predefined. In our example, bytes 0, 1, 2, and 3 were assigned to this 32-bit input module. We may change this if we want by double-clicking on the input module line and selecting address. If we uncheck System Default, then we can change this to some number such as 20 or maybe 30. If you notice, after we made the edit, the input memory address is now defined as bytes 30, 31, 32, and 33. When we are happy with our hardware project, we can click on our Save and Compile icon. Please notice that the description of these icons can be attained by merely hovering over them. Now we are ready to download our project to our hardware configuration. But before we download to our hardware, we must make sure that our interface is set up correctly. We will diminish our hardware manager and go back to the Simatic Manager shell. Select Options, select Set PG PC Interface. There are many interfaces that are offered in the Siemens Simatic Manager environment. Ethernet, PC adapters, USB, Ethernet, TCP/IP, and many others. In our project today, we will select a PC adapter USB interface, which will use the multi-port interface, or MPI port. By looking in the bottom of the Simatic Manager shell on the right-hand side, you can see which interface is currently being used. If you cannot communicate with your project for any reason, this would be the first place you would look to see which interface the system thinks you are using. We will now reopen or refresh or restore the hardware configuration manager and select the download to module icon. We will select the module that we want to download to, the target. Our project is defined as downloading to MPI address 2, but we can come to View and select that button, which will show us all of the accessible nodes that can be reached by MPI. In this case, there is the CPU 315-2 found on our accessible nodes. We will select OK to download to that module. The CPU must be stopped in order to complete the downloading process. And Simatic Manager will ask you to restart the CPU from stop to run. You may verify that your module is back in the run condition by selecting PLC and module information. And noting in the upper right-hand corner, the operating mode of the CPU is in the run mode. This concludes the segment on creating a project and downloading a simple project to a CPU in Siemens Simatic Manager.